Ruth Calloway had a two-bedroom house in Columbus, Ohio, a collection of ceramic owls on the kitchen windowsill, and a rule she had kept for 11 years of foster caring. Every child who came through her door would be treated like family, not like a placement, not like a case number, not like a temporary situation to be managed until something more permanent came along. Like family. 11 years, dozens of children. Ruth had seen every version of a kid who had been let down by the adults who were supposed to show up for them. She had learned over those 11 years that what most of those children needed was not complicated. They needed someone who remembered what they said, someone who showed up, someone who kept the rule. Danny arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in March. He was 13 years old. He had been in 4 placements in 2 years. His file described him as quiet, distrustful, and exceptionally smart, which, if you have ever worked with children, you will recognize as the file's polite way of saying this kid has figured out that trusting people is a losing strategy and has adjusted his behavior accordingly. Ruth said he stood on her porch for a full minute before coming inside. She said she recognized that pause. She had seen it before. She knew exactly what it meant, and she did not rush it. She let him take his time. Danny stayed longer than most. Months became a year became 4. Ruth helped him with algebra at the kitchen table under the warm overhead light. She attended every parent-teacher evening. She kept every drawing he made, even the ones he said were bad, especially the ones he said were bad. He called her Miss Ruth at first. After about a year and a half, he dropped the miss. She said she considered it the highest compliment of her adult life. When Danny aged out of the foster system at 18, he found an apartment across the city. He stayed in touch at first regularly, then less, the way young people do when they are trying to build a life and the life is harder than they expected. Ruth understood this. She had raised enough children to know that staying in touch means different things to different people, and that the absence of contact is not always the absence of love. He came back for her birthday when he was 22, showed up at the door with a small wrapped gift and a slightly uncertain expression, like he wasn't sure whether he still had the right to knock. She said it was one of the best days she'd had in years. Here is where the story changes. Ruth noticed it gradually. The calls started coming with requests attached. Small at first. Money for a bill, help with a deposit. The explanations were reasonable in the way that explanations are reasonable when you want them to be. Ruth made excuses for him to herself. She thought about the 13-year-old on her porch. She thought about the algebra sessions and the drawings and the day he stopped saying miss. She thought about all of it because she is human. And humans find it very hard to accept that someone they love is not the person they believe them to be. She saw it coming. She did not stop it. She said that is the part that is hardest to explain to people who haven't been there. Not what he did. The fact that she saw it and still couldn't make herself act on what she saw. Danny used her trust. He used information she had shared with him in private. The specifics are ones Ruth asked us not to detail, and we are going to respect that because this is her story and she gets to decide what belongs in it. What she will say is that when it was over, she had lost something she had spent decades building. Not a small thing, a significant thing, the kind of loss that changes the practical shape of your daily life. She was not naive. She was not foolish. She was a person who had decided 11 years before Danny ever set foot on her porch that she was going to love the children in her care without conditions and without a safety net. That is not a character flaw. That is the entire point of what she was doing. It is also occasionally how people get hurt. When we spoke with Ruth, we asked her how she described what had happened. She said, "I raised him. I loved him. He made a choice that hurt me deeply. And I have spent more time than I should trying to figure out which part of that was my fault." She paused. Then she said, "None of it was my fault." She said she was still working on believing that. We asked her if she was angry. She said, "Of course." We asked her if she had forgiven him. She said, and this is the most Ruth Calloway sentence that has ever been said. She said, "Forgiveness is something I'm working on for my own sake, not his. I'm not doing it as a gift to him. I'm doing it because carrying it is heavy and I have other things to carry." Ruth Calloway still fosters. There is a 14-year-old named Marcus in her spare room right now. She kept the drawings Danny made when he was 15. They are still in a box in her closet. She has not thrown them away. She said she doesn't know why she kept them. Then she thought about it for a moment and said, "Actually, I do know why. I kept them because the boy who made those drawings was real. What happened later was also real. Both things can be true at the same time. I'm not going to throw away the first one just because the second one hurt me." She still has the ceramic owls on the windowsill. The house still looks like a place that is actively trying to be a home. Because it is. Because Ruth Calloway decided 11 years before Danny arrived and has decided every day since that this is what she does. Not because it is safe, not because it always works out, because the children who stand on her porch for a full minute before coming inside need someone who will keep the rule. She keeps the rule. That, if you ask me, is the whole story.